Buck Martinez, Jay's play-by-play voice on Sportsnet. Morning, Buck.
Good morning, boys. How you doing today?
Doing all right. I wonder what it must be like in a clubhouse where everybody's looking at the guy next to him, wondering, are you gonna be here tomorrow? How difficult a time is that to get through?
Yeah, it's a challenging time, obviously, but it comes with the territory. This time of the year, there are a lot of rumors and a lot of speculation. Guys understand the system. And guys that are on expiring contracts, there's a real good chance they're going to be dealt. And it's not a great feeling, but at the same time, it can be a step up given the situation for the Blue Jays. And I think that's the interesting part of this time of the year.
I wonder if there's going to be a player who's got term on his deal. I mean, it's the one thing I think that's been interesting about the Shapiro-Atkins run so far, Buck, is they haven't taken a ton of chances, and that's okay sometimes. Like, we think of conservative as a bad word in running a baseball team, but they inherited so much talent and so much skill that there hasn't been that one move where they're putting themselves out there. It's like Solarte, I think, is really interesting, and whether selling high on Solarte would be really intriguing to them. And I don't doubt that people are and other contenders are looking to see if he'd be an interesting bat to add to a playoff team.
You know what? I think that's a real good outlook because you understand there's probably more deals that we're not even talking about that are being discussed behind closed doors. The guys that have more control on the Blue Jays roster probably bring you more value at this time. Rentals aren't going to get you the top prospects, but if there are players that other teams are looking at that have a year or two, maybe even more control, I'm sure the Blue Jays will consider it. And getting back to Mark Shapiro and Ross Atkins, I think they've approached it very well because they come into a new situation. And instead of pulling the trigger and making all sorts of changes, they were very patient. They wanted to see who they had as talent, what kind of character they have on this team, and I think they're going to make judgments going forward based on the information they've had and they've gained since they've come to Toronto. But it's not an easy situation. Obviously, we know where the club is now, and it's a time to probably make some dramatic changes, and I think, we're going to see in the next couple of days. And just because the July 31st deadline is coming up, that doesn't mean that's going to be the end of the changes. I think there are a lot of changes on the horizon.
So many rumors yesterday, including one where teams are calling for Marcus Stroman. That doesn't necessarily mean it's true. How do you think management views Stroman going forward? Not necessarily as a pitcher, but how he fits in as far as some of the things that have happened off the field are concerned.
Well, you know what? I think they understand what a top-notch pitcher he is, and he's another guy that has a lot of value because he has control. The teams have control over his contract for the next few years. So I would think that they value him very high, and I think other organizations do well. So I think that's, those are the types of things that nobody's really anticipating, but could bring you more value in return. So, obviously I'm not privy to any of the behind-the-scenes information, but, those are the types of moves that nobody's talking about that might surprise people. I mean, think about it. When we go back to 15, we didn't think Troy Tulowitzki was coming to Toronto. We never discussed David Price. Nobody ever brought those rumors up, and those were the blockbuster deals that really turned the fortunes around for the ball club.
Buck Martinez, our guest. Don't forget, afternoon affair today. Twins Jays before the Jays hit the road for a good 10-day chunk. White Sox, A's, Mariners on the road. 4 o'clock today, Sportsnet 590 The Fan. You're a former catcher. Catching's changed since you played, but you know what it was like playing 90, 100 games behind the plate at age 32, 33, 34. When you watch Russell Martin now, what is the best outlook you see for him next April, May next? Obviously, it's a horrible year. He wants to put it behind him. At age almost 36 next year, it's really, really difficult for catchers to there's only a few, like the Pudge Rodriguez, that can look the same at a certain point in time based on the wear and tear of the position.
Yeah, you know what? Historically, it's been a position where performance drops off dramatically. You mentioned Pudge Rodriguez. Carlton Fisk is another. Mm-hmm. Bob Boone's another that played very well late into his career. Sandy Alomar Jr. But there are very few exceptions to that. And performance drops off dramatically, especially for offensive players like Russ Martin, because Russ has been such a terrific offensive player. But the wear and tear of catching every day just beats you up. When you think about it, there are three catchers that lead baseball in innings caught and games played, and it's Molina, McCann, and Martin, and they have been rock solid Ironmen behind the plate for a long time. And yeah, the drop off is dramatic when you get into your early 30s and middle 30s. You can go back historically and look at Johnny Bench and Yogi Berra and all the great catchers that they dropped off dramatically. Russell, I think, is in a situation where if he's rested, you see the skills back there, and I think that's the big challenge. And baseball has accepted the fact that catching is now a two-person position in most situations. Very few catchers catch 135, 140 games anymore.
Ryan Borucki looked good again last night. There was the drop fly ball. They didn't score runs for him. But bottom line is you're watching this guy pitch, and I know we've gotten so locked into how hard does he throw. This guy does a whole bunch of other things that will get batters out. You know, I don't have to see how hard he throws. I just see the way he hides the ball sometimes, where his location is. I got a feeling he's going to get hitters out in the major leagues going forward.
You know what? That's such a great point, because we are so enamored with the velocity and with hard throwers and strikeouts. But Ryan Borucki walks off the mound. You can't tell if he got his brains beat in or if he's thrown a no-hitter. And I love that about a young pitcher. I have never once seen him intimidated pitching to major league hitters, and I think that's a great quality. He reminds me an awful lot of Tom Glavine watching him. And I'm not going to put him in the Hall of Fame just yet like Glavine. He's got to do it for the long haul. But I certainly see the same qualities in Borucki that Glavine had as a pitcher. He's fearless. He throws it over. He doesn't show any emotion. And he's got a great delivery. I think he understands pitching. And I think this is the start of the next generation that you're going to see with this ball club. Pannone is on the horizon. Sean Reed Foley's on the horizon. TJ Zoid. And sooner or later, we're going to get Nate Pearson healthy, and he's going to get back on the mound. So, I think the future is better than people imagine. I think, we're loaded with position players, and I think the pitching depth is becoming better. But I think Borucki is the first of many good young arms we're going to see in the next couple of years here in Toronto.